Our Vodafone dynamic duo in Las Vegas, Liam Martin and Isaiah Yeo. Holy smokes. Now, these two were, I mean, everyone waxes lyrical around Nathan Cleary, and so we should, but these two, honestly, were sensational.
Liam Martin's backing up from man of the match in the Clive Churchill medal in the grand final. He goes out there, no pre-season games. He terrorises them. From the opening whistle, he was on a mission in that game, and then he pulls off a try-saving tackle near the end of the game to secure the victory. But I also thought Isaiah Yeo is just one of the unsung champions of our game. I was watching him there the other day, and that influenced both he and Nathan. Like, I don't think there's any question anymore that one day down the track Nathan will be a rugby league immortal. But I just think that there's an argument, definitely from me, that Isaiah Yeo has to be in that conversation. I don't remember watching a player who has been as influential, as influential on the continued success of his team as this bloke. He's a big man. He rolls his sleeve up. He does the hard work. He's got great skills. His ball playing is fantastic. It adds another dimension to this team.
He's just as important as Nathan Cleary.
And his calmness.
He started as a centre, right? Then he plays lock, right? Then he plays front row. And then when he plays state of origin, he's a hit-up forward and he stands in tackles. Then he plays Nathan's out and he plays as first receiver and he plays just as good as a playmaker. Then he plays lock, and just said there was a subtlety, like Big Aiden comes off the line.
Like this too, where he can take
comes off the line sideways. That's an Andrew Johns. That's a halfback's try. Yeah. So like his vision, I think he's a great player.
Didn't you say he's the biggest chameleon we've ever had in our
chameleon?
Game? Yeah,
he can play anywhere.
Yeah,
he can play anywhere in the game, and he'll model the best player.
And the other point to it too is that we look at all the players that Penrith have lost over the years.
Yep.
Really significant individuals, and it's these two that hold that club together. Yeah. And look, you throw in Liam Martin too, and Dylan Edwards and To'o, but these two leaders. It's a little bit, to me, it's a little bit like Melbourne Storm. Just because Cameron Smith is seen as he is an immortal in waiting, it doesn't mean Billy Slater can't be. And I think it's the same argument for these two.
You mentioned it, but Doggy, you've worked this up today. So talk us through this.
Yeah, I just was fascinated, Braith, by this misconception out there that people say this is a great Penrith team. It's more than a team. This dynasty is now spanning 2 generations. You can see here, from round 1 2020, when they started their run, albeit they got beaten in the grand final, to round 1 in Vegas. There's only 4 players still there. To be fair, Dylan Edwards and To'o, To'o wasn't there in Vegas, and Dylan Edwards wasn't there in round 1 in 2020, excuse me, through injury. But it just proves to me, and proves to everybody, that this is now spanning 2-3 generations. It's not just one side. People should remember that. And it makes their achievements even more meritorious.
Well, it shows how, like you just said, how important Liam Martin, Isaiah Yeo, and we know Cleary is, that's a given, right? But to have 2 back rowers who have had the impact on a team, and you talk about generational, that have won 4 premierships in a row, have lost Crichton, Burton, you name it, the list goes on, Taruva, Kikau, you can keep naming them. Coruscant. But to have 2, Cleary's Cleary, but to have 2 back rowers, that can change games, that are just, well, Martin's a beast, Yeo's like a half that's playing 13 but can also score from 10 or 15 metres out. Like, you're one of the best back rowers that's ever played the game, Gordy. What do you think?
Well, Liam Martin and these two? Yeah. Absolutely. Like, the Penrith blokes were teasing me the night after the game, said he would have bashed me. The Penrith blokes, and then I would have loved the challenge, but he's a guy, like, when you're watching you play state of origin or whatever, no matter what happens, he goes to the collision, he goes to the contest, and he's not scared. So he would have been a nightmare to play against, there's no doubt. And then right now with Oli Kawatu and all these big, great athletes and Kikau, he's probably the best back rower in the game.
And it's the consistency too, and the consistency of their success, the sustained success, because like you say, Gordy was a great player in his day. Sam Burgess was another great player. You could keep going on. Glenn Lazarus. There's so many great players, but I think what stands out for me with Isaiah is the leadership and the way that this team has continued its success with so many players leaving.
Take out his passing
And
game.
bring,
It's the closest
not
thing to
buying
Bradley
another
Clyde.
team, developing another team from within is what Penrith do. And these guys, they just lead the way. And
He's a Bradley Clyde, can play
He's a
every
modern-day
position.
Norm Provan.
He is.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And they're so methodical.
I'm not that old, Crawls, to have watched
Nor
that.
am I. But his unsung ways,
Yeah.
it just remind you of he's such a gentleman on and off the field, and he's just, you know.
Well, Nathan Cleary may not be the player he is without Isaiah Yeo. We won't know that because they've only ever played together. But honestly, like what he does for Nathan is just gives him so much time and space, which leads me to this next one. It is the comparison in halves. The Panthers taking on the Sharks on the weekend, which was a great game, but the comparison in the halves for both teams in critical moments. How did you see, Crawls?
I thought there was a couple of sets in particular that just summed up Nathan's calmness and influence on that team, and the way that, look, it was leading up to that Dane Laurie try where it put them ahead, at the end of the game to 28-22. Did it finish up?
Yeah.
And you just have to watch how smart they. So Jack Cole was initially feeding the scrum. At the last second, he's dropped the ball. Laurie's run in from the left wing. Cole's run across. They've stacked this right edge. Liam Martin, we'll have to go back over it because Cleary's turned Liam Martin in to run at Stone Street, who was the winger over on the opposite side. You'll see Stone Street over there, and he'll sprint across when he drops the ball.
Yep.
Then Cleary will turn Martin in, run straight at Stone Street. Then the very next play, they go straight back at that edge
it's
and they
amazing.
score where he would have been defending.
Yep.
And it starts at training. Every single player knows their job. They have the calmness on the field to pick the moment when they're going to do it.
I think there's a coach there in waiting, Crawls.
And it just works. No, well, it's actually my son that pointed it out to me. But anyway, you watch Cronulla later in the game, and they had a set where they were attacking Penrith's line,
Yeah.
Gordy,
and there was
why
just
is it?
nothing doing. It was just a
I'm not a
rabble.
half. This is a
But
question
why
for
are they
Brad.
so methodical? And why and how are they so
They're
methodical
practice.
ahead of the best? But you can't tell me all the other clubs don't practice.
Not perfect.
Day
Perfect
after
practice
day
makes
after
it
This is
better.
what we're talking about, Doggy, because Cronulla had this set where they had 6 tackles on the line. That was the only shot
Well, if
that they
Ramian
fired.
passes there, they score. The centre passes to the winger and they score. There's certain things that
Is this a
happen.
culture thing?
Crawls,
Is this
you're
why
right.
they're so good?
Crawls, you're right? This is the difference. Right there is the difference. When the game is on the line and you need to come up with a big play, this is like this, right? This is what separates
Look at
good
this
teams
whole set.
and great teams.
Right, but
right?
see, but
This
that
is
was
why
one, yeah.
Cronulla Sharks will continue to make the finals and top 4 every year, but can they take that next step to win a premiership? This is their challenge because they've got Trindle and Hines there. Trindle was the dominant half on the weekend and I thought he had a great game, Trindle. Hines was a little bit quiet, started the game well. But with Penrith, you just know if they're in the game and they hang in there, it's either going to be Cleary, they don't have Luai anymore, but it's going to be Yeo, or it's going to be Cleary, or just one of their players, normally Cleary, who comes up with that big play when they need it the most. And that's like most teams. You've got Munster and Jerome Hughes. I was saying it on 360 last night in Vegas. You've got these teams that have got these key players that win you premierships. The Sharks, their problem is Trindle and or Hines the right combination or players that can get them to that next level?
It's round 1. They've got a season to get it right. I think what we saw over there was that Cronulla now have a roster with Fanua Blake in that team where they're capable. They're a top 4 squad.
They have a team that can win the comp.
They have.
They do.
But it's going to come down to the halfbacks doing the job. And there was another concern that a couple of the defensive efforts from the fullback Will Kennedy on the week, and I thought were quite concerning. I don't know what you blokes would think if we get a chance to have a look at those, but there was 2 tries scored. Kennedy hardly makes an effort in this one. And then on the next one that we'll see, Cleary does trick him. He moves to one side, then he goes back. But even so, I thought the effort from Kennedy would have
He's
to
down
be a
on his feet.
concern.
He's tired there. So
Yeah, but this one, you watch this. If that's Clint Gutherson, mate, he's going 100 miles an hour to get to that.
But that's the difference, right? So those last 2 plays, right, when Talakai hits it and Raymond, you have a look at like the black jerseys that are in the picture. When they put a play on, Nathan Cleary's got so many options and he can hit 3, right? When other sides put on a play, it's selfish. So they go, there's one over
So
line.
the point I'm getting to on this, though,
No support.
like we talk about the halves. You know that they got Daniel Atkinson waiting in the wings, and Trindle is clearly leading this side at the moment. You just wonder if Nico, being the running player, he plays his best football when he runs the ball. Would there be an option down the track if it doesn't work to move him back?
It could be, and by no means is this a knock on Cronulla, because Cronulla are playing a team that
really
won
good.
four premierships in a row and they lost by 6 points, right?
And
it's
had the
not a knock,
opportunities.
and they're gonna make the finals with these. They're gonna canter into the finals, and they probably will make top 4. If not, they're going to be on the edge. But all we're saying is, if they want to be a premiership winning team, then do they have the capabilities to do that? I think they do. But can they get there? Can Hines get there? Can Trindle get there? It's up to them two. They've got Adam Fanua-Blake there now. They've got really good outside backs, a really solid back three and forward pack now. It's really going to come down to those big moments.